Yeah, this is a bang bang well. Years ago, I was in a prison called the Mount, and I met a guy called Manny Clarke. Yeah, Manny Clarke, a nice guy. I think he was doing a 5 or 7, something like that. But he's a dangerous man, very very dangerous man. Can have a right fight. Yeah, he used to train with me in the gym, and the guy don't stop. 24/7 he trains. His son's exactly the same, young Manny. Young Manny trained me one day and he showed me how to train properly. I was knackered, mate. I couldn't keep up with him. He's a very, very good trainer. Me and Manny go back a long way, yeah. And I see him doing this video, Manny Clarke, with Matt Legg. And I was talking, and I couldn't believe it, what he was saying. Anyway, so I wrote a little message down, thing. I sent it to Manny Clarke. Hello, man, it's Ray Hill and all this, that, and the other. Manny Clarke sent me something back, right, that blew my head off, mate. It just blew my head off completely. And I'll tell you a story, yeah. Anyway, years ago, 15, 16, I used to go down a club called the White Hart Acton. And it was a mad club. Mad, it was right next door to Acton Police Station. And there was always trouble there, 24/7 trouble. Weekends, Friday to Sunday, it was murder. More or less Fridays, well, there was always trouble. It goes to show you how much trouble there was there. They always had maybe 5, 6 bouncers on the door. Yeah, honestly, it was packed, jam solid, and there was always bouncers on the door. The Temptations there. I mean, the Temptation, the group, the Motown group, they had them there, and it was the guy was the gaff was just banging. There's always trouble in there, always trouble. And you had a guy called Georgie Clarke, which is Manny's dad, Georgie Clarke. He was about 17 and a half stone, well defined, 6'2", cut to pieces, a muscular guy, yeah. And there was a guy with a bad leg, big guy, tall like that, and a guy called Freddie Clarke. Well, Freddie Clarke was a really, 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 really dangerous, powerful man. I understand, I don't know how true it is, he had an accident or something happened to him and he got smashed across the head and bits and pieces and he'd done his leg, his right leg or left leg. He could hardly walk, he hobbles about, they smashed into pieces, all scars all over his head, but he's as mad as they come. The guy is like a brick wall. You could hit him with a baseball bat, you could hit him with a sledgehammer and he would not move. The geezer was just a powerful man and very dangerous. And there was a couple of other guys that worked there. I've got them down there. It was Georgie Clarke, Murray Bush, yeah. Murray Bush used to run the boathouse in Acton too, and he used to be the White Hart. You can imagine, can't you? He's a big man. He's a big, 6'10", 6'11", always doing in the film game. Massive guy, powerful guy, good fighter. Murray Bush is another one, a good fighter, good ex-pro, really good fighter. And he does a lot of film work. And the other one was Pete Langham, proper, another guy, can really, really have it. I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys that can really have it. And there's one more guy there that just blew my mind. And when Manny Clarke's talking about him, and I've known this guy since 1979, right way through, to 1990, 1991, 1990, something like that, before I went away again for a bigger sentence there. And this guy is called Cliff Fields. Cliff Fields worked on the door with Georgie Clarke, Freddie Clarke, Pete Langham, all them people, Murray Bush, and I remember him like now. It's like talking to you, as I'm talking to Cliff Fields. And it's the way Manny told me about it. I look back and I think, oh my God. All the times that I worked with Cliff Fields as an enforcer with Jimmy Tibbet, I've never ever once recognised him like that. I never ever once talked to him about anything he'd done as a bouncer. Cliff Field wasn't a flash guy, very quiet, loved his boxing, talked about his boxing and people his beat, like Lenny and all them sort of people. That's about it really. Didn't mention about him being this and being that. He wasn't a flash guy at all, proper nice guy. So there's no reason for him to tell me about him. But I should recognise him. Perhaps he's had a lot of fights, you know, and I didn't. But he was very young. I was 16. He must have been, what, 22, maybe? 21, 22. But a powerful big man on the door with them sort of people. George Clarke or Freddie Clarke. You know, big Maury Bush. Anyway, so he's there on the door, you know, and I'm so over the moon with what Manny Clark's told me about him. I thought, oh, wow, I can recognise him now. I got him the way he was. Young, big guy, yeah? And there's another guy there, Dave. He was a cab driver, I forget his second name. Griffiths' name, Dave Griffiths. I think his name is David Griffiths, cab driver, black cab driver. Another big, powerful boxer. All fighters on the door, yeah? And it was always trouble in the White Acton. And I got a funny feeling that they got to know that they was going to kick off that night, yeah? Because the amount of doormen had, 6 on the door, 7 on the door, it was going to kick off big time. Me, 16, 15, 16, 17, the eldest, yeah, but wanted to be around the doorman. Loved to be around doorman, wanted to be a doorman myself, yeah. And I learnt a lot from them. They learnt me a lot. I'll tell you a bit more in a minute. They learnt me a lot, yeah. So anyway, there's trouble. Yeah, this is a Friday night, there's trouble. It kicks off, but it doesn't kick off that bad. But they're handling it. Dawn are handling it okay. And it's finished now. It's bumped. Everybody's gone home. 12, 1 o'clock finished. Right next door to Acton Police Station. It's about 3 yards from Acton Police Station. The White Hart alleyway up the side, going some doors, the club. Then the Acton Police Station is on the right, but this is an old police station then, old. At that time of night, when the club was on, maybe 5, 6, 7 old in there, very quiet police station, you know, but old. This is on a Friday night. Not too much trouble, but it kicks off. Outside, a few fights here and there. Saturday, you got Maury Bush, you got Georgie Clarke, you got Freddie Clarke, Pete Langham, Maury Bush, and there's someone else, Dave Griffiths. There's 6 doormen. 6 doormen. It is going to bang in. It's going to kick off. They've heard something, that something's going to go. I'm there at the door with them, talking to them. I've got involved with around them, I'm around them, yeah? All of a sudden, Tommy Green, Freddie Green, Gary Jakeman, young Keith Jakeman, Georgie Harding, Charlie Harding, Johnny Harding, Alan Harding. There's 4, I think Bimbo was there, and Dennis Harding. There's 6 Hardings there. And every one of them are tooled up. They all carry something, yeah? They're a wicked, wicked family, and they can all march on. They don't care, they stick together, you get stabbed to death, mate. They don't care. So you got all them in there. Then you got Mickey Everton, Keith Everton, Gary Jakeman. You got loads of people in there, all can have a right fight. They'd come in there that night, there's something going to kick off. And I think some guys come down from Brentford or from Hounslow, they come to there, think they're going to come over there and kick off. I think one of the guys is called Roach, I'm not quite sure. It's going to kick off. Well, I'm on the front door, it kicks off. Now it's really kicked off. I'm on about, what they did though, when they come in dribs and drabs. They didn't come in together, they come in dribs and drabs. So people on the door that knew that it was going to kick off and knew the people was going to kick off, it was more like the inside, not outside. So they all eventually got in, but 2s and 1s at a time. Dingoes are coming as a big party. I'm there myself, yeah? But I'm outside talking to Dave and talking to George and Fred, and then just talking. Cliff Fields, if I remember right, was inside. Cliff, big Cliff was a right handful, mate. And then it kicked off about 10 o'clock at night. I'm on about kicked off, mate. It was gone crazy. The door flung open to go outside. Before you get the alleyway, it's kicked off. One of the bouncers had been hit across with one of them round mugs, yeah? Wham! Smashed his head to pieces, yeah. He poured me blood, but they ain't gone on the floor. They're all fighting. Now it kicks off really bad. You got Georgie Clarke. He rushes in. Fred hobbles in, yeah. They're trying to do Fred. They can't put Fred on the floor. They can't put George on the floor. They're smashing them. They're stabbing them up. They're doing all sorts of things. Bottles, glasses, chairs, tables are going across the heads. It's really kicked off really bad. It winds up. The idea of being a bouncer is to get them outside. You don't want it inside. You want to get them outside the club. And there's a police station next door, so they got off a chance of it being stopped. It isn't going to be stopped, mate. It's kicked off. Kicks off, all of a sudden, I can now remember that Clifffields comes out of the club with Dave, the black cab driver, Dave Griffiths. He's having it off with some people in the front, fighting his people in the front. Freddie Clarke gets involved. He's doing Freddie Clarke across the head with glasses and bottles. Freddie Clarke's like an animal, mate. He's as mad as they come. Manny Clarke, I should imagine he knows that anyway. Freddie Clarke, as nutty as they come. You cannot put him down, even if you hit him with a sledgehammer. He ain't going to go down. He's as hard as nails. George, the old man, is exactly the same. George is very tall, very crisp, very fast in his hands. Like Manny's the same. Manny's very fast as that, and his boy. So George is fighting, George is fighting, Freddie's fighting, and they're getting bottles across their head. You've got to remember, there's about 30 people that will all come down to have a fight with these guys from Brentford and Hounslow. So it kicked off really bad. They're outside fighting. There's about 3 old people come out, but they ain't going to get involved. They're running back in there. They're shitting themselves. At that time, someone's come behind Clifford. Can remember, someone's come up behind Clifford, hitting with one of them pint mugs, you know, the round ones with all the bubbles on. Right across your head. Clifford's sort of wall like that. Didn't go down. Rolling around, and he's turning around. He's kicking off with these people, and whoop. They stabbed him 2 times, 3 times, right? They're gone now. They're chasing. Cliffield's chasing them. Dave's chasing Cliffield's. Cliffield's is trying to get to these people. He's now been plunged about and hit across here with a mug. He's now at this hill going towards Acton High Street. It stopped, and they're turning around. They want more. They're picking up bottles, crates, milk crates. This is old-fashioned times, mate. Milk crates a lot. They're going into one. Clifffields is rallying these people. Dave's there with it. Boom, boom, boom. I'm there. I'm chasing Clifffields and Dave. I want to know what's going on. You know what I mean? Because I'm involved as such as a kid, but I want to get involved with the fights. I get hit across here with a bottle. I go down to the floor. I hit the floor. I'll get up. Yeah, I'm getting kicked around the gaff. But I don't care, I want to fight. But not kicked around the gaff by my own people, getting kicked with the guy around the gaff for these roaches from Hounslow, Brentford way. It's off, yeah? All of a sudden, Freddie Clarke and Georgie Clarke, they're just 10-pin, mate, like 10-pin bowling. And they don't give up. They're as mad as they come. They're going forward, throwing punches at people and people with glasses, bottles, everything, and they're not giving up, mate. The place is full of blood. Blood is everywhere, all over their fucking faces, all over the gear they're wearing. It's gone crazy, man. There's blood everywhere. Old Bill chasing people. It's mad. It's mad. What's his name? Clifffields and Dave Griffiths. They're having it up with his people by the cinema. I think it was called the Odeon Cinema then. They're having it up with the people in the Odeon Cinema. I think Clifffields has been stabbed twice. There's blood. I mean, I'm not swearing this, mate. There's blood from my head. Dave Griffiths isn't so bad. Yeah, but Clifffields is red with blood. There's blood everywhere, mate. All over his body. He's got a white T-shirt on with a jacket on. He's got blood everywhere, yeah? Clifffields, all of a sudden, this little firm, Clifffields is bashed about 2 or 3 up, and they got up and they're running there. Clifffields collapsed on one leg, yeah? Dave Griffiths is round him. Gump, bump, bump. Ambulance comes. Ambulance has been called. Someone's called the ambulance. They come and pull Clifffield in the ambulance. He's been stabbed up, mate. He's going away. We're going back. But George, Manny Clarke's dad, Manny Clarke, Georgie Clarke and Freddie Clarke are still fighting out the front. They're fighting out the company with Pete Langan, and I think there's another guy, I forget his name, but they're fighting at My Bush. They're fighting out the front, right? He's kicking off, it's got worse. You got Mickey Everton, right? Mickey Everton kicked one of them up the private part. He kicked them so hard, mate. They'd gone down on one knee. And Mickey Everton can never really have it. He steamed into these things. He's got long hair. They got all his hair. The bouncers, I think it was Freddie, got all his hair and threw him around as if he was a matchbox. Just threw him around, mate. And he can really have it, Mickey Everton. A really dangerous man, right? You got Alan Harding. You got Georgie Harding. You got Dennis Harding, Charlie Harding, Alan Harding. That lot are mad. That lot are always tooled up. And they're plunging people like it's going out. In fact, they're just plunging anybody. Anybody who's around, they're plunging. Listen, mate, in the end of the day, yeah, I should imagine 10 people there had to go to hospital who've been plunged up. I should imagine Georgie Clarke and Freddie Clarke may have been plunged up, I don't know, but they were smothered with blood. When I see it, the whole lot was smothered with blood. They shut the club down within a week, I think 2 weeks. They've shut it, the police shut it, mate. Having a round like that outside, mate, really, it's just too much. I mean, in them days, wasn't many cars around anyway, but it was, I mean, when it went off, mate, it kicked off. Everybody was shitting themselves because no one wanted to back off. But when you got people like Cliff Fields, Dave Griffiths, Maury Bush, Georgie Clarke and Freddie Clarke, who are nutties have come, who keep going forward, they all said to me, right, never ever go back. The consequences of going backwards outweigh the consequences of going forward. He said, go forward and win. You run back, you lose, you're going to come back another day and winning. So why should you run away from it? Go forward. This is the advice from George Clarke. Freddie Clarke was like that, but mate, he was so hard. This man was so hard. I'm not quite sure if he fought Tommy Farr for the title. I'm not quite sure. I hope Manny Clarke gets onto my comments and gives me a comment about it, Freddie Clarke, who he fought and what happened to his head and his leg. I think he had a car accident or someone bashed him up or smashed him across it with sledgehammers and all. I'm not quite sure, but I know whoever did it suffered the consequences of it, yeah. And when it was all over as such, yeah, and I'll come back with Dave Griffiths. Cliff Fields has gone to the hospital, yeah. I'll come back with Dave Griffiths. I'm smothered with blood because they've done me with bottles anyway. I shouldn't really got involved. I'm only a kid, 16, but 17. But I wanted to learn the lesson, yeah. And I got to see George Clarke and the old man and Freddie Clarke. And I was talking to them and they said, listen, always remember you, never ever go backwards. The consequences of going backwards are so bad. Always go forward and suffer the consequences, because after that, going forward and suffering them, then people will never come for you again. They know how you are and what you are. And that's the words from George. I respect George Manning. I respect Freddie Manning. And I respect Manny Clarke, sorry. Georgie Clarke, Freddie Clarke and Manny Clarke, yeah. Manny Clarke I respect him big time. His son I respected. Very fit boy. Manny Clarke, mate, is a gentleman, and I love him for letting me know about Cliff Fields. Once he told me about Cliff Fields, then it all come back. So thanks very much, mate. And mate, I never ever will forget that day, that fight. That was the best fight I've ever seen in my life, mate. That was the most dangerous fight I've ever seen. And more so with your dad, George, with your uncle, Fred, Maury Bush, Cliff Fields and Dave Griffiths and Pete Langan. Didn't see much of Pete Langan, you know, but he was fighting, mate. He was fighting. Don't worry about that. He was there, mate. He was there. He was fighting. Anyway, Pete Lang was a big man, mate. He's a big man. He could fucking march on. He could march on, Pete. But But Clifffields, I can't believe it. It shocked me to remember after all these years. Yeah. Anyway, this is Bang Bang Rail. Please press the like button and subscribe. Have a nice day. Yeah, bye.